Hello, I'm Jack from letsdrawpeople.com. The video that you're watching now contains clips from a full-length tutorial video series I did for members of Let's Draw People Club. It's from the Noah video series and demonstrates how to identify specific plot points on the face and use those plot points to draw a person's face, relying on observational methods, and not being completely dependent on a grid while drawing. So I have this. I just have this photograph open up in my in my photos on my computer, and this is just for me to show you how we'll get started. And we're going to get started with some plot points. So basically, we're going to look for certain points on the face to just put on our drawing paper, and we're going to use those points to help us get the right proportion of what we need. We're going to identify certain key points on the face, some of those facial features that we need to properly place, and the plot points will help us place those. So let me see if I can get a drawing tool here. All right, we'll just use this one. So I think there are 10 points on this face that I'm going to pinpoint. And I'm just going to show them to you here. So there's nothing you have to do here except watch. So let's look at just looking at the face here, we see there are some basic guidelines of every face that you should be somewhat familiar with. One guideline that I often like to do is if I'm sketching a face, of course we sketch an oval for the outline, the shape of the face. So in order to get the right height of the head, what we can do is put a couple of plot points, one at the top and one at the bottom. So if there's an imaginary line going down the middle of Noah's face right here, and then that means we can put a point right here at the top. Okay, now that this toolbar is getting in my way, so I'll put it right below there. There we go. Okay, and then so we have an imaginary line curving down the middle, the center of Noah's face, and then one at the bottom. So he has this beard here on his chin, so we have to decide where we want that point. So let's just put it at the very bottom of his chin, right at the bottom of the beard. All right, so that's 2. 1, 2. And now, of course, this would be at the very top, but this toolbar is in my way. But just to show you, we'll put one at the top and the bottom. That way we'll know how tall exactly the head is. And now we also need to determine how wide our oval will be when we sketch our oval. So let's put one on either side of his face. Now, again, we want to look for certain points that we can identify later on. And we want to make sure we remember where those points are. So let's put a point where the head and the top of the ear meet on each side of the face. So right here where the head and the top of the ear meet, we can put a point there on that side. And then, so let's see, if we're sketching around this way, we could put a point right here where the head and the top of the ear meet. So with these 4 points, this will help us get the proper proportion when we're sketching the outline of the head, because we can capture everything within these 4 points. Okay, now we need to go on to the face and put a few more points in for the facial features. So whenever you're sketching guidelines, if you're going to draw a face, a very common guideline is a horizontal line that goes across the middle of the face, where it is approximately halfway down from the top and the bottom of the head. And along that guideline, that's where you'll find the eyes. So we can put 4 points to signify where the corners of the eyes are. So, and I'm going to, now you have to remember, because there's some overlap here with Noah's eyes. So we need to decide, are we putting our points at the very corner of the white of the eye, or at the very corner of the eye altogether, where past the overlap? So I'm just going to encompass the entire eye and put them on the very outside corner of each eye. So we'll put one right here, and then we'll put one right here. So that's for, there we go, that's for the outer corner of the eye. And then now we need to do the inner corners. So one here and one here. All right. So that gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And let's do 2 more. Let's do one for the nose. So we'll do one for the very bottom tip of the nose. Because as you know, the guideline for the nose is usually roughly about halfway between the eyes right here and then the bottom of the chin. And then the mouth is usually about 1/3 of the way down. So we'll put a plot point for his mouth. Now his mouth is open. Noah's mouth is open here. And of course, Noah, that's just a name I gave him. He isn't a real person, I know. But so since his mouth is open, we need to decide, are we going to put the point at the top lip or the bottom lip or where the teeth are? I like to put it where the actual mouth is, center of the mouth is. And when lips open, the lips move. They move up and down. The top lip moves up and the bottom lip moves down. But the teeth always stay where they are in the skull. So I like to just put them right where that mouth actually is, which is where the teeth meet. So we'll put it right here. All right. Okay, so now we have, for the head, we have 10 plot points. We've got 4 to capture the outline of the head. We've got 4 along where the eyes are to capture the inner and outer corner of the eyes. And then we have one for the nose and one for the mouth. So with these points, they can help us basically get the proper proportions and placement of the facial features while we're sketching the head without the use of using grid lines. Now, and there are a couple more points we're going to put here just below the head, just to help things go a little more smoothly. And one can be right here below the chin, just to help us decide how long the neck should be. So I'll put one here at the base of the neck where his shirt is. And then we can put one where the shoulder is, because there's nothing here to, like if we were drawing this, there's nothing here to help us know how far to come out. So we can put a point here right at the shoulder. This will help us decide how far out we need to sketch his shoulder and how low down below the neck. And we'll put another one on this side. His shoulder's kind of cut off here with the photo, but we can put one there. So that's 10 for the head and 3 below. That's 13 altogether. So with these plot points, we can have a much easier time. If we have these placed on our paper, we can have a much easier time of sketching or drawing making that initial line drawing. But now I mentioned a minute ago that the goal of this is to be an observational drawing, or at least to rely less on using a grid for the entire drawing. So what we could do is we could take a ruler, and I've done this before. I've done this plenty of times before. Just take a ruler and place it right onto your computer screen. Or if you have the photograph printed out, you could take a ruler and just place the ruler right on the photograph and measure the distance between each of these plot points and put that on your paper. You could do that, but there's an easier way. I put together a special handout that explains step by step how to accurately place these points on your drawing paper, whether you are drawing Noah or some other face. With the points in the correct spots on the drawing paper, you'll be able to draw the face in proper proportion. See directions below this video for downloading the handout, and you'll also get to print out the plot points for Noah already in place, just like this, so you can more easily watch the rest of this video and draw along with me. Okay. All right, so now we're going to start with the outline of Noah's head. And then you can start seeing other things happening too. Like you can see the bend of the head, how it starts to be, like you want to start to see how things relate, how parts of the drawing relate to each other. So that'll help guide how you need to form your lines as you sketch them or draw them. So the top corner or bend of the head on both sides, you can see it's right about here. They start to bend at roughly the same tilt, same place. So you just start to look for those relationships and see how they relate to each other as you start getting into this. So here's my inner corner, my outer corner. Here's an imaginary center line right here between these 2 points. I'll actually draw it this time. Here I just referenced to it. But there's an imaginary line that divides these 2 points in half. And so earlier I was saying that from the outer corner, it curves up and a little bit past that halfway point. And then we start curving down towards this inner corner. And then the inner corner of the eye, it is not right here. I mean, as far as where that white of the eye is, it's not right here, but it's inward some, or I guess away from that some is what I should say. And the width, we don't want to make it too wide. It looks like it might be slightly more open than this eye. If I look at the photograph, it looks like it's slightly open more than this one. Not by much. But I might make it a little wider. That's barely noticeable though. And again, there's some overlap here, so I want to close that off. Instead of bringing it all the way over to this point, I'm going to leave some overlap there. But onward down now to the nose itself. So we know that the nose, the tip of the nose is right here. That the bottom tip of the nose is right here. So whenever it comes to drawing, a nose, the very general guideline for drawing noses is like I mentioned earlier, it's usually about halfway between where the eyes are and where the chin is, but we already have that point there. But now we don't have any points for where the, how wide the nose is. But generally the guideline is the nose, the ends of the nose, the outer tips of them extend to the inner corners of the eyes. So we can use that as well as the photograph to help us determine, the width of the nose. So if we look on our photograph, and again I have it zoomed in, if you follow along and have yours open, zoom in as well. But you can see the Noah's right side, our left side of his nose, the bottom part, the wing part of the nose, it extends to, and if you have an imaginary vertical line, it looks like it is right about here, roughly where the inner corner of the eye is, right about here. So I'm putting a little very light line here just to indicate where the nose is. Okay. And then on the other side, it's basically the same thing, right about here where the inner corner of the inner corner of the eye is, and also it looks like it comes pretty much to where the iris is. So there's an imaginary vertical line right about here. That helps us place the width of the nose. And we know the tip of it is right here. So that can help us size the nose. But another thing to pay attention to is the, I already mentioned the angle. So this one's going to be lower. This one's going to be slightly higher. So lower here, slightly higher there. But another thing to pay attention to is how far do we come up? Like, do we cut it short like this? Or do we come up farther, way up here? Okay. Well, again, we can use our little guidelines that we did, our circles, to help us with that. We see I think about the way we have it now is just about right. We can try that, and if we need to adjust it, we will. But I think that's just about the right distance. The corner of Noah's mouth, it looks like it pretty much does line out with the middle of the eye. I say right about here. Maybe not quite through the pupil, but maybe right along here. And that's a rough estimate. So I'm going to put a little imaginary or a little vertical guideline right there to show that's where the mouth should be, the corner of the mouth should be. And if I look on Noah's left side, which is our right side, we can see the other corner of the mouth. If we go straight up, it looks like it's probably a little bit beyond this point. I'd say right about there. Remember, his mouth is open, and I mean, he's got a big wide smile on it, like I said, so it's going to be a little bit beyond that traditional middle of the eye guideline that we're used to using. So right here, this point is going to be where the outermost tooth is. So that means that our bottom lip, that can help us get the thickness too of the bottom lip and make sure we're on the right track. And it looks like so far, so good. I hope, hopefully. All right. All right, so that looks about right. And then on this side, we can do the same thing. Well, we'll start with this top row. There's a little space between the top and the bottom where that dot is. So I can have that, maybe have that dot. Well, I want to show a little more of the bottom teeth in that. So I'll just put the top row a little bit above that dot and the bottom row right here kind of on the dot. Okay, I'm going to make a rough guideline for the top row here, just basically straight across. And then here on this side, it starts to curve around and upward, just like the rest of the mouth. Okay, I don't want to be tight to this guideline. It's just, like I said, just a rough guideline to help me form the teeth. But if I see that I need it bigger, if I need it higher or lower, I can adjust that later. The bottom row here. Okay, the bottom row just kind of disappears under the top, so that should be easier. That would be that tooth. And then the canine, kind of like we did with this one, is at a slant from the outer edge of the nose. It's more of a slant down. And then we know this is the outer edge of this side of this is the outer tooth for this side of the mouth. And just like the last side, there are 3 of them that are visible here. So then these are small, so there's like 1, 2, and then that's the last one. Now that we have the size and the placement of the teeth the way they should be, we can put some shape to the teeth, make them look more like real natural teeth. And a big part of that is giving it a gum lines. So we're going to look at just curving up the corners here. And however much or however little gum line you see in the photograph, just try to give that same amount of gum line to what you see in your drawing. And with the next tooth, this is that slanted tooth, canine tooth. The gum line basically goes all the way up and just barely touches the lip. And the next one, again, these teeth are smaller and there's more gum line visible. So we want to try to mimic that. If you need to make changes, do so carefully if you don't like the way yours came out, and just try to look for those alignments and how different teeth, line up with each other. But the teeth really do play a big part in the capturing the likeness of the person that you're trying to draw. So it's very important to try to get the shape and size of them correct compared to what you see, because it can really make a world of difference with your drawing if the teeth are drawn correctly. There, we'll put a few of these vertical lines. There's some vertical lines and horizontal lines going across that we see. There's a highlight here. We can put the highlight on the lip. And right. That pretty much does it for the mouth. At least the lips. So constantly looking at other parts of the drawing and see what lines up. So like when I made this curve, I saw that it aligned with the outer edge of the iris. And this tip aligned with the bottom tip. See this tip? It aligned with the bottom tip of the nose. So you're constantly, even though I'm not always pointing them out or drawing them or sketching them in, when you make observational drawings, you're constantly doing that. Like you're looking to see what connects. You're looking to see what parts can confirm other parts. All right, so on this side, there's another curve there for the cheek, and it looks like it lines up with the outer corner of the mouth. So we'll put that here, and curves around. And it looks like it goes all the way to right about where this part of the outer corner of the mouth is, which also aligns to, if we keep going straight up, it also aligns to the outer part of the iris right here. And we've got some lines coming down from the nose. All right, this comes down. And you see some subtle lines going around the mouth. So I'm sketching those in. Okay. All right. Thanks for watching. Remember, this is only part of the finished drawing. If you'd like to see how I complete the drawing in its entirety, you can do so by becoming a member of the Let's Draw People Club. I hope this video has taught you something about how to identify plot points on the face and use those plot points to improve your observational drawing. If you haven't already done so, see the directions below this video for downloading my handout. It's called How to Put Plot Points Onto Drawing Paper. You'll also get a printout of plot points for Noah already in place. Plus, I'll give you more detailed lessons of the brief steps in this video so you can more easily draw Noah's facial features along with me. Thanks again.